Welcome to another My Outlander Purgatory recap. This week, we continue our Season 7 Part 2 coverage with a recap of episode 712, Carnal Knowledge. Ready? Then pour yourself a wee dram, settle in, and let's do this. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracey.
I'm Carol.
And we are My
Outlander
Purgatory. Carol, how are you doing today?
I am friggin' awesome. How are you, Tracey?
I'm pretty good. I'm kind of going a little crazy because it is exactly 2 weeks to Christmas and I've what feels like nothing done.
Oh yeah.
And I'm at the point in life where I'm so crazy over it. I'm just like laughing all the time about it.
Laughing all the way. Let me tell you something. Everybody feels that way right now. I guarantee every single one of you guys is like, I don't even have a gift spot. I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? It's okay. You know why? Because Lord John makes it all okay.
Oh, Lord John. Oh, thank God for Lord John. I have my husband's holiday party tomorrow. I have a holiday luncheon on Friday. I have our mom's holiday festivities at her assisted living on Sunday.
So cute.
I have some other thing on Saturday. I have to edit all this video. I have to do Christmas cards in there somewhere.
Oof.
Figure out what we're having for Christmas. Buy gifts, wrap things. But it's all good because you know why? Because through it all, I'm gonna remember Paoli.
You're gonna remember Paoli. How did I not see Paoli coming?
Oh my God, we have so you guys, we have so I feel like we're saying this every episode this season, but we have so much to discuss today, you guys.
Oh Lord,
you guys, this video could break records. I don't even know where to begin. Let's begin as we always do. Carol, what are you drinking on this fine evening?
Let's begin as I always do. I'm drinking Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc. It's
oh, is that your? I can't keep your wine straight.
It's light, crisp, and refreshing, and it really is ridiculous that I drink it in December because I should be drinking some type of red wine. You guys, as I just said to Tracey, I should be drinking Madeira. Yeah, but I am not because I am just I can't pull myself away from this. I don't get a headache. It makes me happy. I think of the summer and December. It's wonderful.
Yeah, the older I get, the more it's the temperature has fallen below 55 degrees. Bring on the heads.
Yeah,
because it just warms you ever so slightly,
Oh,
it
yeah.
warms your brain. This is what I'm drinking. This is this lovely fine Italian red. Yet another one from the wine tasting thingy we did the other day. But how would you say that word, Carol? Would you say
Ooh.
No, you say shawa. Just like you say Paoli. It's a paoli. As we've said for, many years.
I mean, when you grow up there, and everyone calls it paoli. And it is funny because I think I did think about it, but I didn't give it much thought as to it's the original Italian pronunciation. So, it's funny because
it makes total sense. We don't say
we are the ones
Chiao, right? We say ciao.
Right. We're the ones pronouncing it incorrectly, but again, we grew up there and that's the way they say it is paoli.
Right.
So.
We and 7 bajillion other Philadelphians pronounce it paoli.
Oh,
Anywho, all this talk of paoli, I don't even know where to begin. Should we do I feel like we've explained a little bit about this.
I know.
But we probably need to do the full-on deep dive into how this all came to be and why we're just astounded that at this episode and how above and beyond all the other goodness that was this episode. And I have to say this episode's probably could be top 5 of the series.
As a Revolutionary War dork, I'm we're far away from the original Outlander episodes, so it's, easy for me now to be like, this is my favorite episode. But I mean, you started before I did, and you were like, I'm 14 minutes in. And I was like, okay. And I all I could think of was, well, last week was the big stuff. And then I thought, okay, well, I can't say. I thought it was something else was coming, which will be another interesting video. And then 14 minutes in, my man says, Remember Paoli. And I was like, you guys, I'm sorry. We're going to do a little bragging tonight, okay?
Yeah. So let's just say that, Tracey and Carol sort of made it into the writer's room this week.
Sort of.
So wait, let me ask you this before. I mean, all right. It's all like, like this. This episode, like, besides this, it like made me laugh hysterically. It made me tear up.
Lord John was hilarious.
All the feels. I honestly, like, and believe it or not, because I was super dissing on her last week, but Rachel gets the line of the night. Well, we'll get to it. Right, for me, Rachel, I howled at Rachel.
I was ready to hear her say, just like, shut the
no, she had the best line of the night. But anyway, I kind of feel like we've sort of hinted at this a little bit maybe in one of the earlier episodes of the season, but we probably, for this to make sense, we really need to break down the story of Remember Paoli and how these girls that you are listening to right now, are directly responsible for it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly how this all went down.
Oh, I remember.
Because we have to give props to Karen Henry.
Karen Henry.
You guys might know.
Yes.
Karen Henry is like a legend. She is a legend in the Outlander world.
Yeah.
She has a blog called Outlandish Observations. She runs, if you guys don't know, maybe you don't know that Diana Gabaldon, the author of the Outlander series, is online a lot in, oh my God, it's the Lit Forum now is what it's called. It used to be called CompuServe it was like a CompuServe forum way back when.
Right.
It's called the Lit Forum now.
Right.
And Diana has like a folder or section on there, and Karen's in charge of her Diana section. So Karen is like basically a moderator on steroids. Like, she's just like
Diana calls her the
track of everything, and
she
posting
calls her
like,
the czar.
see this and see that. Yeah. She's like the herder of cats.
Is she the Outlander czar? She was the something czar, I remember.
But we've known Karen like since we got into Outlander, because back then it was a really small pond, you guys, and like everybody knew everybody. Okay.
So the Battle of Paoli was mentioned. Diana mentioned it ever so briefly in a paragraph. She just said, "Oh, what happened at Paoli, blah blah blah." And then Karen Henry on Outlandish Observations mentioned that Diana mentioned the Battle of Paoli, the Paoli massacre is how we always knew it. And I saw Diana's mention, I saw Karen's mention, and I went, oh my God, we grew up there, and I've never been. We grew up in Paoli, PA. We've never been to the Paoli battlefield. Like, how the hell does this happen?
And how long ago was this? This was like.
Oh, 2000. It was like 2011 or something. It started my Outlander Purgatory. We just hit our 15-year anniversary when I used to be like the Dorco blogger, and Tracey would hold court in the comments, and it would turn into this big long thing, and then we started mock chat and all that. But my point is, I saw something in Karen's blog in Outlandish Observations, and this is what I wanted to say too. This was back when, you guys, there was no one. We have to give credit where it's due. There were the ladies of Lollybrock. They were the very first Outlander website. There was Karen Henry at Outlandish Observations, and
the Outlander Book Club.
Outlander Book Club, but I'm going back, and she was informative. She was an information website. She had everything, and she was the moderator at CompuServe, so Diana Gabaldon knew her. So she was wonderful. And then we come bebopping along, read Outlander, we're reading it, and we're like, oh, and I had the Twilight blog, and I'm like, let's just make it Outlander Purgatory. So the whole point is that there was no one, you guys. We were like, there was no one doing this. There were a few, like Tracey said, Outlander Book Club came along. People started coming along as the years were going by. But I saw it in Karen Henry's blog, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take a day. I'm going to go see the Paoli battlefield. Pulled my kids out of school. They were literally like, 4 and 6 or something. Called my friend Ann, who still lives in Paoli, and said, Ann, we're coming for the day. I'm going to take you to lunch. I'm going to pay for your lunch because you're going to have to come with me to a battlefield. She was like, what the hell am I doing here? And meanwhile, and for just to be correct, it's actually in what is now Malvern, Pennsylvania, which borders Paoli. I've got to say that before someone says, the battlefield is in Malvern. So we went, spent a couple hours at the battlefield, just walked around. There's not a whole lot happening there, but there's a lovely monument. There's a cannon. There's some really neat fencing that looks like, it's like a repro of original, the crisscross fencing. They had some in the episode this week. And, we were very quiet and the kids were good, whatever. And I wrote up a blog post and I had pictures. It's still there. I had pictures. So here's Anne, here's my kids, here's this, here's that. But there was Charles Gray on the, if you go and look at the monument. And I was like, it's Lord John's uncle or cousin or whatever. So I wrote up a blog post.
We didn't know. Like at that point, you didn't know because she hadn't made it up yet.
Diana
was like, great, that's funny.
Yes.
Like maybe it's related to Lord John.
Yes, this was like I said, this was 15 years ago, 14, 13. So anyway, long story short, I write this blog post, but I did a lot of research because I'm a Revolutionary War dork. So I found that some information that back in the day, they used the war cry, Remember Paoli. We all know they said it. They took the flints out. They ambushed, the British ambushed us. We had no idea. General Anthony Wayne was still coming back. They ambushed us and it was ugly. And the bottom line, well, I said the bottom line like 70 times, but oh God, what was I just saying? What the frick was I just saying?
You put the blog post out there. Why it was important.
Hi, Remember Paoli. So I find that this was the war cry. Now, what I found was that it was for 50 years after that, it was the war cry. At any rate, I know they used it at the next battles. So they would rush in and yell, Remember Paoli, Remember Paoli, as we know it today. So wrote up a blog post thinking nothing of it. Next thing we know, out comes Moby, and Diana has written an entire chapter entitled Remember Paoli and gave us credit at the end of the book because that is what made her realize that this was a national battle cry going into battle.
Right.
Tracey, I have video of me realizing that Diana Gabaldon had not only seen my Outlander Purgatory, again, back in the day, but linked to it on, dianagabaldon.com.
Right.
And I am talking, you guys ready for this? Tracey doesn't even know this. My son is 20 years old. He was 5 when this happened and walking around with his little DS or whatever he had and making a little video. I'm freaking out in the background. Oh my God. Oh, I was probably calling you. Oh my God. Because Diana Gabaldon, her website had linked, she had links of Outlander sites and she had linked to us.
I don't think she's changed her website in like 20 years. So
all I know is I was like beyond flabbergasted because I never knew this woman would ever in a million years know my Outlander Purgatory existed.
Do you remember where you were? Do you remember where you were the first time you saw it?
What? Remember Paoli chapter?
This. The first time you held this book and opened it up and saw the words in print. Because I was in Target and I cried right there in the book aisle in Target. So long story short, as we've probably said a million times, this happens and there's a chapter called Remember Paoli, and we just walked on air for a long time. Um, okay. So, did you actually think, Carol, that that was going to make an appearance in the show?
I'm gonna say something I usually try not to say vulgar, crass things, but I shit my pants. I was watching this week, and when he said, "Remember Pally," I thought, no, no, I never. I said to myself, Carol, get over yourself. This is why I'm saying to these guys, we're gonna brag a little bit because I have zero confidence. I'm not a bragger, so I thought, oh, they're never gonna include that. I bet you they won't even mention it. You know what I mean? And my God.
And then my other question to you is, were you like me that you're watching it and they're like, we're taking you back to headquarters so that like you can get hung in front of General Wayne because he's going to want to see you do it. Remember Paoli? And I'm sitting here like, remember Paoli? I wonder what that means. Oh my God. That's how it went down for me. Was that pretty much you too?
No, I heard something about Anthony Wayne, and like you guys got to understand, for anybody who didn't grow up near there, I think we have a couple people who did, but Anthony Wayne is everything in that area of the world. Everything.
Yeah.
Our movie theater was Anthony Wayne. Our local exclusive golf club was
Waynesboro.
Waynesboro Country Club. Tracey and I could throw a stone from the house we grew up in and hit the house he grew up in. So the minute I heard Anthony Wayne, my ears kind of went, and then he was like, and right, I'm talking like a beat before he said it, I went, is he gonna say it? He's gonna, and he went, remember Paoli.
Were you like, what?
Well, I mean, yeah, at first I was like, and then I was like, holy shit, they said it. I mean, and then it went on from there. And then it went on from there.
See, you guys, that's like a plot. It's a major plot point. Like, and that's why Lord John gets like put in this prison. That's why he needs to escape. That's why they're going to hang him because he's related to Charles Gray. And like, if it weren't for you girls here, Diana probably would have found it because she's like really smart with the research and stuff like that. But like, you girls like got her there a little sooner.
I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because she would probably be like, are you serious right now? But I don't know. I'd love to know. Diana, would she have written?
Diana would give us massive credit, and here's why.
Would the Paoli massacre?
Does that come out like right side up?
It does. Well, I mean, I'm seeing it right side up. Oh Lord, I'm in my sweatpants. I'm just
all right. If you could read that, it says, "Remember Paoli." Okay.
Hang on. Where is it? There it is.
Yep.
Can I be honest with you guys? What, Tracey?
We had these signed in like 2015, 2014. So
this was the greatest Christmas present. That episode was the greatest Christmas present anyone could have ever given me. I don't know about you, but I'm going to assume yes.
So Outlander production team, Outlander staff, all of you.
You guys made our day.
You guys gave us our gift. Our gift is,
and Pocket Jamie agrees.
And I hope that don't like turn us off because we still have like all this to get through. But like you guys, this is the day we never thought would come, and it's just, like other than Pocket Jamie and like all of that, that's a video for another day. This is like the greatest thing ever in Outlander in terms of how we've made our little mark on the lore, if you will. And we're just so happy and we're so thrilled. And Tony Graffia, the writer of this episode, we're gonna buy you a bottle of this.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, and I'm gonna shut up soon because we gotta switch videos. But after 15 years of doing this, November 2009, all of the blogging, all of the reading, all of the research, all of the finding, the information, the graphics, the this, the that, the chatting, the every Monday night chatting, all of it, it just all came to a head for me in that video. And I just I can't thank you guys enough. I cannot thank you all enough. Everybody involved, anybody who's ever uttered the words Outlander and Sassenach out of your lips.
I know.
Namaste.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
Now that we've talked a little bit about, or a lot of it, about the featured part of the episode, us.
It's all about us this week.
You know, if Outlander Starz, if you guys are listening, a really good idea would be to let us interview David Barry, but we would take him to the Paoli Massacre battlefield where he could see the monument to his late dead departed cousin, uncle, whoever the hell he is, Charles Gray.
Yes, but also Starz people, Outlander people, if that can't happen with David Barry, with the great David Barry, because he's, God knows where in the world doing his job, we'll take the third patriot from the left. If the third patriot from the left wants
the one that was like, Remember Paoli, yes, send him our way.
If they want to come, whoever, to the Paoli battlefield and do a little something with Tracey and me, we are in. And we'll even do our Philly accents if you want them.
Right. Guys, here we are. 1,700 hours into this recap.
Yes.
And here we go. It's episode 712, Carnal Knowledge. The writer is the great, brilliant, and we owe her like a million martinis, Tony Graffia, and the director. You know what? I don't think the director is Lisa Clark anymore because is it?
I thought it was. It was. This week it was.
Wait, it was 709 and 710 had the same director. 711, 712. Yes, it was Lisa Clark. Yes. Okay, good. All right. So our cold open is immediately from last week. Like, Lord Jamie is dragging Lord John out the door. Jamie, was it just me, or was like kind of this first couple of minutes when they were in the town really hard to understand? To the point where I was like, maybe I need to put the closed captioning on because I can't understand what they're saying.
I'm going to agree with you because at one point, very early on, I said, should I put closed captioning on right now?
I know. Like, I don't, like, it almost felt like they needed to do some, like, ADR, like some looping, because it just wasn't, like, and I don't know what it was, but I was like, I had to, like, rewind it, like, 17 times and watch it. And so Jamie basically tells a story of, like, he got searched, and then they wanted to search this person, and there's something upon my person I prefer they not discover. What do you think that is?
I don't know.
I don't, like, I was like...
At first I was like, is it a crystal?
Pictures of Brianna?
Maybe.
Some sort of things from, like, the future? I don't know. Probably.
I was like, maybe it's a diamond. Maybe it's a gemstone to get back through. Well, he's not going through, but I don't know.
I don't know either, but like, you can tell us in the comments. I'm sure it's super obvious, and we're just like,
yeah.
So Lord John, much like Tracey, Lord John's always cold. So Jamie gives him his coat, and it's okay because Jamie has like 7 coats underneath that.
And Lord John's loving having Jamie's coat.
And yeah, I didn't even think of that, but Lord John's all like, "Oh, Jamie breaks his coat." Jamie's like, "I learned the Eutropian sunk. I Ken Claire would. I'm still not sure. Like, hear about it, know about it, whatever. I don't know."
Yeah.
So Jamie's like, all right, we're gonna get some horses and we're gonna get the hell out of there. You get the horses, they ride this way and that way.
I thought that too.
And I was just like, at this point, I was like, oh my god, what if they ran into Ross Poldark?
Excuse me.
Just kill me now because life is no longer worth living after that because that's the best it gets. Jamie, Lord John, and Ross Poldark in the same space. It's as good as life is gonna get, you guys.
Can we make that happen, please?
Crossover.
Aiden Turner.
Oh my god. Okay. So they end up in the woods, and Jamie's like, "Oh, thank you for taking care of Claire," and you're just sort of like chuckling through the whole thing. You're all like,
"Yeah, boy, he really did take care of Claire."
And then Jamie's like, "You look sort of pale. You look a wee bit pale." Um, Lord John is like so sincere. Oh wait, no, I skipped that. So all I have in capital letters is the face before Lord John confesses. His face.
You're just sitting there like, don't do it. Don't do it.
We're like 30 seconds into this episode, and I'm already like, this is the greatest episode ever. Because like, look at his face. He's like this.
Don't do it.
He might as well have gone like this.
Wait. Do you ever find, Tracey or everybody else, do you ever find yourself like, oh my God, like wishing that the show doesn't do what the books did? Because in this case, I'm like, you don't have to tell him. Don't tell him.
But no, sadly they do not. Sadly, Lord John takes a deep breath, squints his eyes shut, and he says, I've had carnal knowledge
of your wife.
And then he's just like, and Jamie's like,
you have.
Oh. Why? And Jamie's like, Lord John's like so sincere, and Jamie's like literally smirking. Like he's like, oh, why?
Yeah.
And then they cut away.
That's what I sort of remembered. I was like, wait, didn't Jamie kind of find it funny? Like, I don't know.
He did. No, that's what he did. I have this whole thing. I have this whole thing like happened at once, and I thought that I think that maybe it's in the books where he says why, and they cut to something else, but maybe they didn't. I don't know.
I was just expecting him to almost laugh. Like that's what I remembered from the book. So whatever.
He does. He's like, oh,
yeah.
Why? Why'd you do that? What's up with that? And then things get serious, and again, I just laughed at this. Things get serious when LJ, sorry, I call him LJ in my notes, when Lord John starts to mention the drink. And then Jamie hears Claire was kind of drunk. He was like, hold the phone.
She talks with her body when she drinks.
Wait. You said she was filled with the drink, Lord John? Okay. Crazy as it sounds, this might be true.
Holy shit, this really happened.
Yeah, I put down he knows a thing or two about drunk Claire. It's just so funny. And then Lord John gets really pissed off. And you know what? Rightly so. Jamie, this is a whole other debate we can have about, did Jamie really, yes, that's a lot to take in for Jamie, but, is Jamie really missing the point that they thought he was dead? Do you know what it means to think someone is dead?
It wasn't that long. I mean, I agree with it. I totally understand how it happened. I have thought this through many, many times. But it wasn't all that much time. If Tom came back now and I was like, hey, last week, your bestie and I, we kind of...
Except that you didn't.
It would make a lot more sense. But this wasn't a lot of... Jamie was probably like, Lord, I wasn't gone that long.
He was gone. I think he was gone longer than it. We talked. A lot of people talked about this on the video last week. That it's been longer. That it would have been helpful. Yes. It would have been helpful to know just how long. It's like a couple of months, basically.
Yes, and not only that, but by the end of the episode, it's been resolved, and he does understand.
Right, but that's what I was going to say too.
This moment, he doesn't understand.
Jamie works it through in his head, and he realizes, yes, I agree with you. But yeah, you're right. He does not. He is reacting just off the top of his head.
Yeah.
So, but Lord John says, I will try not to say it here, but basically, as he's getting more and more upset, he's like, the reason, it it didn't mean anything to us. We were both in you.
Stopping you.
And I was just like, I thought like when Claire said that word many years ago to Jamie was like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Oh my God. I totally zeroed in on the same thing because I thought Jamie was even more mad because he does understand because of that situation. He was like, what is this? And she explained it to him. So
well, was it just that Jamie was sort of like a, you know, off the grid clan boy that like he just wasn't wise to the ways of the world.
Yeah,
but Lord John would be very worldly. Like Lord John would know, you know, he's in the seedy side of London. He's seen all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or is it just that like, you know, 30 years have gone by at this point, and maybe people do know what that word means now. I mean, I don't think it is.
Jamie did live in a brothel for a while, so I don't know about that.
Anyway, he says that. Jamie doesn't like that. Boom.
Blam.
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 And we get our Easter egg, which is pretty cool. It's an apple falling off the tree. And like I was thinking of the duality. I think maybe we need to do that for the rest of the season. Like, what's the duality? And so it's like a temptation, you know,
like Claire Eve, and Eve, right?
Right. But it's also, and they say this later on in the episode, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Which is totally true with, as we see with William later on.
Right.
And Claire, like, it's pretty explicit. Claire says it like outright. So
right.
Okay. So we're at LJ's house, Lord John's house. Claire is in the room she never leaves, which is the bedroom. She never goes anywhere else. She just stays in that bedroom.
Right.
It's like, why does everything happen in there? Does Lord John have a whole house?
Right. But now she's laughing in the bathroom.
Now she's laughing. Jamie's back, and all's right with the world.
Well. All's well.
All is well, and William comes in, and he wants to talk to her. And like, Claire's being, she's not being goofy, but she's you know, to be like, when William's like, what do I even call you? Well, we don't know what you called her before.
Right.
I thought she would just be like, Claire? I don't know. She's like, well, I guess I am still your stepmother, sort of. And I was like,
yeah, I don't think he really remembers her.
Claire. Like,
I don't think he really, it was a long time ago that he was at the Ridge. I don't think he really remembers them.
What,
Claire? He remembers Jamie as the stable hand.
I know, but that doesn't have to do with anything. That has to do with,
but Claire was his now stepmother.
For 2 months. But I said this last week, like in the books, there's much more of a connection. There's much more of a sense of that William has welcomed her into the family, and he calls her Mother Claire.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it makes more sense to think of it from that regard, where she's not Mother Claire anymore. A, because she's not married to my father and that guy anymore. And B, you know, she's married to this other guy who is my biological father. Right. So I just thought she would be like, just call me Claire, but no, she's just like, well, I guess I still am your stepmother. I thought that was a little soon, Claire. A little soon to be that snarky, but whatever.
I have something to say about this scene.
What? Well, I just thought it was a great scene, and I thought that Charles Van der Vort. Oh my God, how do I not know his name?
William.
William. But I want to recognize the actor. Charles V. Fantastic in the scene. Like his face.
Yes.
His face.
I was blown away by it, but at the same time, I don't know why I kept seeing him as Anthony Michael Hall in 16 Candles when he's asking Jake Ryan's girlfriend if he enjoyed it. I have no idea why, but that's what he sounded like. Like, well, no, that's not. Like that type of a thing. That's what kept coming back to my mind. And not be like, obviously they didn't have a romantic relationship, the two of them, but that was what was coming to my mind during that scene. Go back and watch it again.
Okay. It did not come to my mind. But
like I just kept seeing the clean clothes shave at the end of 16 Candles in the Bentley or the Rolls Royce.
So his thing, honor is important to him. So that's the first thing he wants to know. Well, he wants to know if they were in love or was it rape.
Right. And, oh my God. That was upsetting.
Then he wants to know, okay, were they fooling around on my the old guy that married Geneva, her husband,
Right.
or was this step before? Like, so
Right.
he really needs to check all the boxes of like, disgrace, no,
Right.
disgrace, no, disgrace, no. So like the sum total of all of these things is okay, I'm a bastard. That's the big issue here.
What did you think of Claire? I thought this was a very interesting episode, and I thought the same thing in the books. What did you think of Claire offering up all of this information and not saying, look, this isn't my story to tell. I'm going to wait until Jamie's back and he can talk to you about this. She was just letting it all like, oh no, they slept together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of felt like, is this her story to tell? Mm-mm. But it's Claire.
I didn't mind it. Yes, it's Claire, true. But also, like, I think I think she was sort of, this is like, I don't know, this is a little sexist, but like, it's kind of a womanly, motherly sense. Like, she knows this is going to be easier coming from me than it is coming from Jamie, who he can barely look at right now. Claire and William have a relationship.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
There's mutual respect there.
Right.
So maybe I can sort of ease him into this gently and kind of, like, allow him to see things in a better light.
And he knows me already, and he knows my character. And I don't think that's sexist at all. I mean, I think that you're right. She's Mother Claire. So she's
it's like motherly, womanly, like it's a girl.
She's putting it in such a way. I mean, it would sort of be the same way if somebody was like getting the goss. Like, she'd be a little bit more like, okay, now, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's just, I can't say enough good things about him. You can see him. You can see inside his head, and you can see him with each thing Claire tells him, he works it out in his head, and it gets him to the next point. And then he's like, okay, yada yada. And then she says, and he's like, okay, and you see it. But like his eyes were just red and like brimming, and oh my God, he was so good in this. He was so good.
He broke everything in the house.
And he broke everything in the house. I was like, much like, Mrs. Figg, I was like, no, chandelier. Oh, not the chandelier, because it was so nice. Yeah, I'm like, not the nice chandelier, please. So, okay, back to the woods, where Jamie is giving Lord John the beating of his life. And Lord John's like taking it because he's like, I'm a douchebag. I deserve this, whatever.
Yeah.
Jamie believes him now. There's no, it's not funny anymore. So, some other guys show up on horseback, and they're rebels in a ranger unit. Jamie tries to pass Lord John off as his prisoner. He's like, this is my prisoner, and I'm like, teaching him a lesson. But he says he's not a soldier, but one of the guys, one of the rebel dudes is like, oh no, he is, because I saw him in uniform sitting on his porch. I live right near him, and I saw him over there, sitting there in his uniform. This is why, this episode was brilliant, because even as you're, crying or, shocked or whatever, you're laughing hysterically. I just cracked up at this point. Lord John's, correcting him on his name.
Oh my
God! Lord John has, an eye this big.
Lord!
And it's every bone is broken, and he's like, that's Lord John.
Yes, Lord John to you.
You can call me his highness or his lordship or sir.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, dude, do you not see what's happening here?
Do you know who he was talking to at that point?
Who?
The guy's name was Woodbine. Woodbine Avenue in Philadelphia.
Oh, I did not know that. Maybe he's somebody famous. I'm sure you've Googled it.
I just heard Woodbine, and I was like, Woodbine Ave.
Okay. So the dudes are gonna take Lord John prisoner, and Jamie can't stop them. That's the upshot here, is that they're like, we don't even know that you're a rebel, Jamie. They don't know his name. And, what's to stop us from taking you? And we're just going to take your prisoner along. Because that's where... Oh, and then also, this is where they hear that his last name is Gray, right?
Were you there? I don't remember this from the book, But I was very like
Oh no.
bothered that I was brought back to the days when Jamie just like handed over Roger. Like he just handed him over and was like, "Yeah, you take him, fine, whatever." And I thought, because I can't remember what happened in the book. Oh, Jamie's gonna whatever. Jamie didn't give a shit. Days go by, and poor
Well,
Lord
because he was
John.
really pissed. That's the thing.
But he knows they might kill him. He knows they could hang him.
I don't think he's thinking about that. I don't think he's really thinking about that. I mean, I don't.
Well,
If he
also,
really thought,
did they mention the Battle of Paoli in front of Jamie?
no. See, this is. I just looked at my notes,
So
and
he doesn't even know about Charles Grey and the Battle of Paoli.
Right. Right. So yeah, and that's just where I said, like, should Jamie show a little more understanding, compassion? It's true that he really does not realize what Claire and Lord John have been through. He's not like really thinking just. And Lord John keeps saying that, like, you don't know what Claire went through. You don't know what she experienced.
Right.
And he just doesn't want to hear it, whatever. But yeah, so he's like, take him. I have other shit to do, like, whatever.
Yeah, but in his defense, he needs a little bit more explanation and time to settle this in his brain. Like, I don't blame him. I've been gone. Yeah, he thought I was dead. I get it, but like, you had sex? What? Come on now. Like,
I know it's difficult for everybody. It's difficult for everybody. I feel like Lord John, like, that's why Lord John is telling him. Like, Lord John is being, the stand-up brave guy, honorable guy, saying this happened. Let's talk it out or whatever. Yeah. And Jamie's like, actually, no, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. But okay, whatever. Okay, so Lord John rides off with the dudes. Yeah, that's where it's like, you can call me my lord or sir if you want. Oh my god, dude, you do not know your audience, man. Like, you just do not know. That was just the best. That was so hilarious. And it's just so, like, it's such a statement of honor with these guys. Like, like William didn't want to know, I mean, he did say, like, were they in love or whatever, but, like, he wanted to know, he wanted to make sure that, like, were the circumstances of his birth at all dishonorable? That was what was important to him.
Right.
Okay, so Lord John is not in good shape at the moment, and let's just say right here that possibly, certainly nominated as star of this episode, the makeup department at Outlander, because
oh my god, the eye kept getting worse and worse and worse.
I swear to God, I think we're getting one less battle, because the battle budget went to Lord John's eye budget, because it was so good. It was so gross.
Yeah.
It was, oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen like that kind of makeup. Okay. So the dudes search Lord John, and I guess they realize his last name is Grey, and they're like, are you related to Charles Grey? And Lord John's like, yeah, he's like some cousin somewhere. I don't know. By whatever. And that was probably the wrong move, Lord John.
Right.
So I don't remember Lord John getting this letter the last episode, but they pull this letter out of his pocket.
Yeah.
And Lord John has not, gotten a chance to read it or anything.
I was going to say, I don't think he knew what the hell the letter said.
No, he didn't. Like, I really don't think he was like, lying to them. I think that he really hadn't read it. And they're like, oh, well, if you're not in the army, then why is this like commission? And they pull out this like official document. Like, why are you having this commission? In the books, by the way, this is all from the books. We're at the point, and as we said, where we don't really remember the books, so I had to sit with this baby and with the Outlandish Companion to see like what's what. Everything that goes down in this episode is right from the books. Let me see. So they're like, you're not just a soldier, you're a spy, and they're gonna hang you. Let's hang him right here. No, we got to bring him back to camp because General Wayne's gonna want to see this. And then they're like, yeah. Remember Paoli. And that's where, it all went to hell in my notes, and I just was like, wrote, and like, with like a million exclamation points.
I mean, I freaked out.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe that this is like, that they put this in this episode. I just can't even believe it. I can't. So we are now on the streets of Philadelphia, as our Bruce Springsteen likes to say.
On the streets of Philadelphia.
And William is piecing said streets. William just doesn't know what to do with himself, and he's just talking to himself at this point. I don't know if he's liquored up or whatever, but he's like, bastard, bastard, bastard. And then he hears a voice like, oh, I like bastards. And it's this flirty girl.
Flirty girly, she's great.
It's clearly a lady of the night, and book readers know who this is. You know her name, but we'll get to that. So she invites him in for a drink. For a drink. You know, he ain't no fool, our William. He knows what it is. He knows why he's there. He goes in the room. He starts.
He knows he's got to do a little washing up. I wish all guys were like this.
Well, I mean, if you want your man to wash up, you can like leave a little basin there, and then excuse yourself to like go find a drink.
As if I don't really have this problem in life, so.
She's like, oh, I'll go fetch some liquor. I'll go fetch some drinks. And he strips down. She comes back in. She starts cracking up because what is it? His pants are like around his legs, and we get a little tiny shot of William.
He's washing
Van der Vort, by the way, Van der Vort. I guess maybe as the Heine that put two and two together. But he's not happy, and she's laughing, whatever. I don't think she's really laughing at him. She's just like, it's a funny scene. He turns around, he doesn't like, he doesn't mean, his hand connects with her, and the wine goes flying, it goes all over the place, and she throws him out. And this is our first look at a character named Jane. Now, Carol, do you remember Jane in the books?
Yes. I mean, now within reason, but yes.
I thought you were going to be like, yes. I mean, no. But
oh, no. Oh, no. I could go a step further than that, but I won't.
I mean, Jane, yes. Jane factors into, this is our first meeting of her. And she is a pretty important character in this book.
Right.
I'm going to say I find book Jane a bit insufferable. I like TV Jane.
Same.
I like TV Jane a lot.
I'm not going to say I find book Jane insufferable. I literally have to read my own blog to remember what I thought about book Jane.
From what I remember,
this one, I like her a lot.
From what I remember about book Jane, she just was like TV Jane is way more like engaging and funny, and like I feel like I noted that a little bit later in my notes here, so I guess I can get to it when I get to it.
Can I say something really quick? And I'm backtracking,
yes.
And it really will not be longer than 30 seconds. I am really stuck on this Jamie, like Lord John saying, did Lord John say I was blanking you or we were blanking you?
We were.
Like, I still can see how Jamie is bewildered. Like, I don't know. I still am feeling for him because I watch along while we're talking, so I don't want to get too far, but like he's riding the horse by himself to go see Colonel Morgan. Excuse me. And I feel bad for him. Like now he's riding his horse like Poldark, knowing that his wife and his best friend slept together while they thought he was dead. Like, come on now. You could see how, it's not exactly like cut and dry. Oh, I could see how that could happen. This poor soul is probably like, what the hell? I don't know. It's bothering me.
Right now he's thinking with his what.
Jamie?
Yes, he's thinking with his what. He's like, somebody else's what has gotten involved, and no. But by the end of the episode, he's thinking with his brain and his heart. But right now, he's thinking with his what.
I disagree just about thinking with your what in general. I think he's thinking with his brain, maybe. Or maybe right now he's thinking with his heart. And at the end, he has to use his brain, and she explains it, and he gets it. I'm sorry that I just had to say that, but I'm sorry, but I could see how he could be like, what the hell? I haven't been gone for 5 years. I've been gone for 5 months. Like, yeah. Anyway,
No,
keep
I
going.
understand. I understand. I get it. I get it. But I don't know. I don't know. Is it enough to pound Lord? I mean, like had these soldiers not come along, would he have killed Lord John?
No, come on.
We're really diving deep here, but like, well, no, you say no, but like Lord John's really hurt. Like Lord John, we don't know what's gonna happen with that eye of his, but like, what if he loses his sight?
I think in a creepy way, like, I'm not saying Lord John enjoyed it, but I feel like Lord John probably, like, almost in a weird way, felt better. Like,
Yeah,
he
oh,
had,
that's true. No, they
yeah, he
say
had to
that
get
in
it
the
off his
episode.
chest. He's his best friend. He told him. And much like somebody who's committed a heinous crime and goes to jail and actually feels better because they want to be punished. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really feel that way.
I mean, this episode, he says it later on. He says Lord John like wanted to die, like
Yeah.
Lord John wanted him to kill him.
Yeah.
I think he says that. Like Lord John absolutely felt like he deserved it.
Right.
Like
So
because
anyway,
again, honor. That is they live and die by the sword and the honor.
I mean, of course, he was in the military, and this is the time when they would all line up and go, "Okay, your turn,"
Mhm.
and the
And
line
Lord
would
John
go.
knew, like this was the honorable thing. Lord John, I've had carnal knowledge of your wife. Doesn't matter the reason. Like I deserve whatever I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
You know.
So sorry
All
about that.
right.
Keep going.
Okay.
I want to get to Jamie
So
and Colonel Morgan.
so yeah, Jamie's riding to see Colonel Morgan. Was it just me, or was the Colonel Morgan camp like totally the same set as the Leary farm?
Oh, that's a riot. I don't think I picked up on that, but I do
I
pick
meant to
up.
go look back on at the Leary farm, but like I it looked really familiar. I don't know. Did anyone else think that? Because like there was like the little fence that he goes through, and then he sort of rides by like where Leary farmhand guy was working. I don't know. I felt like it was the same set. Okay.
Now I'm rewinding while you're talking.
So Jamie brings some dispatches from France because he was in France, if you recall, visiting Joni in her convent.
Yes.
So he got some dispatches, gives them to Morgan. Morgan's like, oh, "It's great. Here, I want you to come meet somebody. Like I'm gonna, like if you got a quarter of an hour, you
Yes.
know,
And
like."
let me just like really quickly throw in there that our great grandmother's last name was Morgan. And I was like, Morgan, maybe I can get into the door. You guys, it's my
Oh my
lifelong
God.
dream. It's what got me into
I just that
genealogy.
is
It's my
that is a
lifelong dream.
Gilmore Girls reference from for now and forever.
Oh my God,
The
it's
Dar.
my lifelong dream. I will get in. I don't care that I'm Irish and Italian. Somebody in this family fought in the Revolutionary
You
War.
just want to be Rory Gilmore living in the pool house and being the event planner of the Dar.
No, I don't. I want to lay flowers and wreaths at the graves of all of these guys.
You can just do that. What's stopping you? Just tell them you're in the jar.
I
Yeah,
know,
you're
but I
in the
want an
jar.
official title. I want the title. I want the fairy tale. I want the door tale.
Okay. So, all right. So Morgan brings Jamie over, and yes, of course, who do we happen upon? It's GW, George
George.
Washington.
George.
Um, Okay, a couple things with George. I think I would be willing to bet that it's the same actor that played him a couple seasons ago when they talk about when they met and George Washington was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, right, that party or whatever the hell it was
Yeah.
like so dumb. Martha made me go, like whatever." um, where does this George Washington? I might even ask this in the last recap where he was on. Where does he rank in terms of your movie and TV and theatrical George Washingtons?
He was fine. You know what? I am really partial, and I feel very badly that I don't remember the name, but the fellow who played George Washington in Turn Washington Spies with
Yes.
that voice, and he was so towering, and he was just, it's a very hard thing to, those are some big shoes to fill.
Um, I
And
really love
yourself? I liked him a
yes.
lot. I mean, he's a good actor, absolutely.
I really like that guy too. I thought he was one of the best George Washingtons. And then again, you're right. He was just so big. He was so big.
Right. And hulking.
He had that rocking that red hair. I also really like the original Hamilton George Washington, which I know you haven't seen that, but like there's a video of them playing. There's a song. So you don't. I know you don't know Hamilton, but like when George spoiler alert, George Washington doesn't run for office, right? And when he tells Alexander Hamilton that he's not going to run, and it's a song called One Last Time, and it's so good. And
she's gonna sing it. She's gonna sing it.
I'm not gonna sing it.
She tortures me with show tunes every single time I see her. And it doesn't matter. You could say, I don't want to hear this. Right on.
But Google it, because there's a video of this. Christopher Jackson is the guy's name, and he's performing it with Lin-Manuel Miranda at the White House. Just Google it. It's so good. It's so good. But again, this guy's like a really big, burly guy, and he just like embodies George Washington. So the two of them, I think, are my favorites. I don't know who this guy is, but he was okay. The one thing that stood out for me with this George Washington was like he has no accent at all. Like he's the only character so far that we've seen that has a purely American accent. Like not a trace of British.
Okay, so that was always why I thought Seth Newmark was so amazing in Turn Washington Spies, because he, as an American from Minnesota, was doing an accent of somebody who, like, the family were from Ireland, but he's been living in the United States. It was fantastic. He just had a little every once in a while.
Well, that's sort of the thing too with a lot of the people in Outlander, not like, in the Philadelphia people, whatever. The accents are sort of all over the place, which is accurate. And some people have like less of an accent than other people, but George Washington is the only one he is an American accent, like no trace of anything. Maybe that's significant, like maybe that's like symbolic, because he is the father of our country and all. I don't know.
Right.
But he does make a mistake. He's like, pull up a chair, Colonel Frazier. Let's chat. And
why'd they let him do that? Because in that, by that time, maybe the Frasers in the United States, in America, were Frazier.
Maybe he represents all of us Americans that say it wrong.
We did for a very long time. Jamie Frazier for a very long time. Oh, we got schooled on that too.
It's Jamie Fraser.
Yeah. Okay. So that was probably pretty authentic if you think about it.
I guess so. And long story short, George is like very impressed that Jamie's, sneaking around and getting the dispatches and whatever. And he's like, will you lead a battalion? So he makes him a brigadier general. So Jamie is now James Fraser, General James Fraser.
Woo!
So he's like, totally forgotten now, I'm sure, about like Lord John, and he's just like, yay me. Or maybe he's just like, yeah, I deserve this because it's been a shitty day so far.
Well, and he also knows from Claire, like, I'm on the right side this time.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay. So Ian and Rachel are coming back from Valley Forge. They pass by. We already know that the loyalists, the British, are withdrawing from Philadelphia. I'm not quite sure why. Like, if they're about to get if the Americans are about to pound on them in the city, or they just are tired of I don't know. I don't know why they're leaving, but
why the Brits are going back to New York.
Oh, is that what's happening? That they still hold the city, and maybe they're just keeping a few people over here.
Yeah,
they're needed in New York.
Well, I don't know. They got run out of town when they went to New York, so I don't really. They're not really getting into those aspects of the revolution at this point. You know what I mean?
Right. All they say is the British are leaving the city. So I don't know why. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was any sort of invasion, that they were beat by the Americans. maybe they're just like leaving a skeleton crew. And moving on.
Once they were gone, they were gone. There's battles. They're getting kicked. They're getting run out of town. They came in and they took over all of the Philadelphians. All of Philadelphia society will be there. They came in and they took over everybody's houses, everybody's art, they just took it all. And now, where I would have to go back is find out what we won, what we did, kick their asses, what this, what that. But they're now like, all right, we out. We're going back to New York. So,
okay. So this was just like way to kick a man, way to kick William when he's down, this whole scene.
Did you realize that it's a little farther in the show, but this is the wagon train I was talking about last week.
Yes, this is what you're talking about.
This, because Jamie was back. And I was thinking William was going to see Jamie. No, it's that Jamie was alive and Ian and Rachel are Ian, for the most part, on this wagon train. And Jamie's coming. Bless you. That was a big deal in the books that like, oh my God, Ian thinks Jamie's dead.
Right. Well, that's later on because that I love that reaction, but we'll get to that. This is where there's no real wagon train yet. They're all sort of like, the British are leaving the city. But William sees, so I don't even know if Ian and Rachel, they wouldn't be part of this British line of people. They just sort of end up there, like coincidentally.
Right.
William sees Rachel and his face just lights up. I was just like,
and my face lit up. Girl, what's your problem? I would be like, William. Yeah, Ian. William.
He loves her so much.
You know what? You know why? It hit me today while I was watching the scene for the very first time, maybe, unless I forget from 15 years ago. Maybe I blogged this. I don't remember. I don't think it occurred to me as much that William loves Rachel because Rachel is staunch, follow the rules. And William is a rule follower. William is about honor. William does the right thing. And there's like an OCD to it. Does the right thing, says the right thing, is right at all times and righteous. And Rachel is the same way within her community. She will not stray from, this is the correct way that I have to be, and I have to follow these rules, and this is how I am. And I thought, he understands her. He understands this. You know what I mean? Somebody, tell me you never thought that William's a tightwad. Like, oh, shut up, William, calm down.
He totally
what is my t-shirt? William, like Jamie, only snootier. Like William and his snootiness. That is why he loves Rachel. It all came crashing down on me.
I don't quite know that I agree with it because I feel, for one reason, I don't feel that Rachel is necessarily a go with the flow, like stay within your, whatever your rules are. Or I don't think Rachel's a rule follower. Clearly she's not, because she's hanging out with like a mohawk.
But she is with like, true. I see what you're saying. But like, come on, like with the violence, no cursing, no this, no that. There's a lot of
those rules. Are just basic rules of Mormonism, of Quakerism.
Right, but you don't have a lot of people with all these rules that they're following. She's following them to the letter, and he likes that because he's the same way.
I guess. I feel like his rules are more about honor than like, don't eat meat on Fridays, or don't curse, or don't do this.
Right, but he sticks
Which her rules are a little more like, based on religion, I would say. His rules are more based on honor and a code of ethics.
Okay, rules are rules.
But I see what you're saying a little bit. I don't know. I feel like
she's proper.
Within her society, she's not a rule follower.
She's proper when it comes to the rules that she and her family and her community live by, and it's proper. And he likes proper. He was raised by Lord John, Sir, whatever you must call me.
My lord or sir.
I mean, yes. I've always thought John. That. Like, William Lord. Is such an amazing mix of Jamie and Lord John. It's so awesome. All right, let's keep going.
All right. So yeah, William just lights up when he sees her, and so they're talking, and basically Ian and Rachel, and I didn't know this was the deal. I thought they were going to look for Denzel. Oh no. They were going to look for a Quaker church that would marry them. Okay. Sure. Okay. I mean, don't you want your auntie to be there? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, they couldn't find a Quaker church. The Quaker church that they went to was like, yeah, no, thank you, but no.
There's one right in Manasquan.
Yeah, they're a little far from there. And so Ian or William knows the deal now. He knows they're together. He knows they're getting married. And to his credit, he does he turns around, he's just like, okay, I've heard enough. Bye. And I don't remember what Ian said or somebody said something. And that causes William to be like, yeah, no, screw this. Boom, turns around, boom. The violence in this episode, boom, 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 boom. Everybody smack, 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 smack.
It's like my Supernatural game on the VR.
I wish I could do like a montage of all the smacking that goes down in this episode, because this is a lot.
It was a smackdown.
It was a smackdown. So Rachel is pissed because she's using both their names.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then the possibly the best line of the episode, or the best moment of the episode comes where, William is basically saying to Ian, I know about this. I know, you knew too. And William is saying he knows about Jamie. He knows that Jamie's his father.
Oh, William. Everyone knew. Everyone knew.
Where that's going is Rachel's like, "What's your problem, William? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And William is like, "He knows because I just found out. Whatever." It's just like, oh, that.
Yes. I'm like, can't you shut that?
Because even Rachel knows. This is where poor William. This episode should have been called William, Lord of Ransom's No Good, Very Bad Day. It's worse now. Worse and worse for this poor guy. And I think this might be the low, where Rachel
knows. Rollo, did you know?
I literally howled, and I was like, okay, Rachel, all is forgiven. That was hilarious.
Dude who packed our rucksacks, do you know?
Oh, that.
Oh, yeah. I felt so bad for him. She was like, oh, and he was like, is there? I said, no, my dad is.
Oh, did George Washington send out a missive here? Is it on a skywriting thing overhead?
On our half-hour trek from Valley Forge all the way back to Philadelphia.
Oh my God, it was so funny. And to her credit, she was like, I don't know, but you look a lot alike and whatever. I kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ian and William fighting. then the soldiers the Union soldiers the British soldiers pull Ian off. William's like, arrest that man, and Rachel's like, um, and they take him off. And I put down Rachel provokes the beast and then slaps it. So Rachel basically is like, what are you, yelling at him, whatever. He says stuff, she slaps him, he makes a pass. He's like, oh, that's so hot. Makes a pass at her.
Yes. Lord, William, calm down.
Did she slap her? Did she slap him before? Oh no, she spits at him after he makes the pass.
Ew, I don't think I noticed that.
She spits. Well, she spits at the ground at his feet. But I do like to what you were saying before. She's like, you made me. Yeah, I stopped you. Because that's what you reduced me to. That you made me, ignore my morals.
Do it. I didn't want to do it. No, it's you made me love you.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't want to. You forced me to ignore my morals or whatever. So
right.
Go to hell, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, well, poor William. William it can't get much worse for William today.
Oh, she spit the kiss out.
Yeah, she just spit
the kiss out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're back at Lord John's house. Oh, this is where Claire's like, William has a temper just like the tree he fell from. Like, what? This is where Claire says, yeah, William has a temper. Clearly the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, Fabi likes that. Because I guess Mrs. Figg knows too.
I love Mrs. Figg. I love Mrs. Figg so much. Mrs. Figg's like, would you please just let me keep house around here? You're all making this very difficult for me. I'm going to get in trouble.
Mrs. Figg fills us in on the backstory that somebody came, General so-and-so came looking for Lord John. He wants him back in the army. They're commissioning him back. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Lord John arrives at the camp. They want him to rejoin the army. So then he arrives back at the rebel camp, and he turns out he knows the major because the major used to be a British loyalist, and I guess was palsy-walsy with the whole Grey clan back in London,
right?
Or wherever, and hung out with them. An aside is where do you think we're gonna ever see Hal?
Oh, I love Hal so much. Hal is one of my all-time favorite characters.
I will say that, and this isn't really a spoiler or anything, but Hal in this book, Hal's around. Hal is in this book, at the same time, on this side of the pond, on this side of the pond. So I wonder if we're gonna see him. There's a whole big plot with Hal and Henry's sister Dottie and stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
I don't know if we're even gonna get.
I don't think we are. I don't think we're gonna.
I mean, we're gonna sort of have to get it later. We're gonna have to sort of get it for next season, which you don't really know because you haven't read it. But
I haven't gotten that far.
But yeah, so I don't know. But I do miss Hal a little bit. Just have to interject that in there. But I don't think we're getting them anytime soon. Okay. So the major has switched sides. He's now a rebel. And Lord John's eye looks like shit. I mean, it's we're at the point now where it's just
where it looks like sloth.
Yes. I will be curious to see how long it took them to do that every day, to get that makeup on, because it had to have been hours and hours and hours.
Right.
So it's just maybe they're like, Sam, come here. Just steal yourself, David. Ready? Boom. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's get that shot really fast.
How did you like it in the very beginning? It had just a red ring. I was like, did a tick bite him?
I know. Well, it just kept swelling and swelling and swelling because it's got to be a day later at least. So now we get to the part where they roll up their sleeves and they're like, Tracey and Carol, this is for you. and they start talking all about the Paoli massacre, and we hear the whole story of how it went down. Basically, it was Charles Gray, who is John Gray's cousin's uncle's father's roommate. Like
former roommate.
He's John Gray is Lord John's at the point right now where he's like, I don't know. I met him once. Whatever. I have no clue. But he basically, depending on what you read and what you hear, massacred. They basically sent them out to, go attack this squad or whatever, and they massacred. I feel like it was 53 in real life, in reality, but they said it was 100.
I mean, I've read so many different things, and I remember reading Written in My Own Heart's Blood and being mad at Lord John because Lord John was like, oh, please, it couldn't have been that much. Like, no way. And you do see a lot of different accounts. I mean, a lot of that goes on around here in general with Revolutionary War lore. So, I mean, I really just don't know.
There's different accounts of just how massacre it was.
But the bottom line is they came in the middle of the night while... This is like we were just discussing wartime, where they were gentlemen and they would stand in their line and be like, all right, it's their turn. Okay, it's our turn. But meanwhile, so it was odd that for the time they ambushed them in the middle of the night in the dark, and they took the flints out of their muskets so that they had no idea. Usually you'd see like a line of red, like somebody would be at the fire watching. And they had no idea, and they killed them in their beds. In their beds. And
there's also Glencoe. Like, didn't that happen in Glencoe in Scotland?
You're sounding familiar. I've got to look it up. But the thing about this was also, and this is where it gets really tricky, is that some of the reporting, some of the records say that there is very questionable, kind of like Culloden, what they did with them after, what they did with the prisoners of war, what they did with some of them that were high up in rank, that they might have just bam, like gotten rid of them right on the spot. So there's a lot of that about the Paoli massacre, to the point where I just want to like go to Paoli, start digging around with my metal detector and find some cool stuff, and maybe we will find out exactly what happened.
And the other thing that they sort of like insinuate through all of this talk is that I don't think there really was a Paoli town the way that there is now. It actually happens in Malvern, but there was a tavern called the Paoli. It was right near the Paoli Tavern.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be near the Paoli post office now. I mean, the tavern isn't there anymore.
It's the Paoli local, but I don't know.
The Paoli local is more about the train station than because it's across from the train. It's a shopping center, but the post office.
But the post office is in the same shopping center.
Right.
Well, it was, you guys. We haven't lived in Paoli in quite a while.
But the fun story is that there's another tavern called the General Warren Tavern that is actually, I think, closer to the battlefield.
It is the closest one to the battlefield, yes.
But Carol, so why isn't it called like the Malvern Massacre or
because it wasn't called Malvern.
Or the Warren Massacre? Well, tell us about the General Warren Tavern.
Because it wasn't called Malvern back then either. And the General Warren Tavern, at least this is, once again, you're getting the history sometimes from places, and you don't know if it's embellished or what, but the history that you'll get from the General Warren is that the Paoli massacre was planned at the General Warren, and that at the time, the Warren Tavern was owned by someone who was a spy. So he owned it, but he was like feeding back information. And that's really how they won this war, all the spying that went down.
Right.
I mean, there's so many of these places, but at the time it was the Paoli Tavern, it was the Warren, and it was the White Horse. Right. Which I believe you and I tried to go to the White Horse, and that's the one they have built a Sheraton hotel right up against.
Right. I mean, we've been to the General Warren too a bunch of times. The Paoli Tavern is no longer there.
Go to the General Warren if you get a chance, you guys. Well, I hope you can go with us someday. But the bottom line is, it is just the neatest experience.
It's very cool.
Floors, those wood floors, those original wood floors.
I know.
It's so amazing.
I know. So Lord John and the Major, I don't know his name, are talking, and like we said, the major gives him the lowdown about the Paoli massacre. The general thinks Lord John is a spy, or a major general, whatever his name is. I don't know. And Lord John is like in pain all over, but he still is like, his noggin is still working pretty good. And he's like, look, there's more value to me being alive than dead.
True.
You know, my brother Hal.
You made a great point.
He's a bigwig, and I can get him to cooperate. He's like influencing the House of Lords. I can get him to do things for you. And the major is like, see, you're not wrong. Okay, we'll take this all into advisement. We'll let General Ween know. And off to the medical tent you go. So that makes you think, like, okay, this major is like, maybe he's a nice guy. Right. Lord John's been over to his house, like sending him to the medical tent. He's going to get medical attention. Maybe he's okay. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So, okay, we listened to this podcast called The Rewatchables, which like breaks down movies that you can watch over and over, which is why it's called The Rewatchables. And they have categories, so they'll do like, age the best, age the worst, like all these obscure categories. And one is called Picking Nits, like nitpicking, picking nits. And so I wrote down a Picking Nits for all of this. That just sort of made me think of something. Like, there's all of this, like, who's Lord John? Like, nobody seems to know who Lord John is. And nobody seems to know who Jamie is. And nobody seems to know anything. But I was like, if so many people were whispering about the Lord John Claire marriage, and how, like, taboo it was or whatever, I was like, would at least someone around here know who Lord John is? And that he's married to James Fraser's widow? And that James Fraser was supposed to be dead and is not now? Like, nobody seems to know anything about anybody. So, like, how much whispering was really being done?
I think that might be inner city neighborhood whispering, not like, whispering of
backwoods whispering, camps whispering. Yeah, I get it. I was just being a little snarky.
Of majors
much
and
like
generals.
Rachel. Much like Rachel, I was being snarky.
Yeah, they're out like working. They're working men. They don't have time for rumor and innuendo.
Yeah. Okay. So Jamie meets up with Ian at the wagon train, and this scene was great because and it's so subtle that you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it unless you remember, like, Ian doesn't know Jamie's alive.
Right.
It's so subtle, and it's like wordless. So you might even be like, on your phone at that moment, and you're gonna miss it. Go back and watch it again because it's great. I had to watch it twice.
I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? And he played it perfectly.
It was perfect because I forgot the first time around. I forgot that Ian, because I was just like, Jamie's popping up everywhere. I guess everyone knows now. But I forgot. I totally forgot. And like Ian and William were having that whole conversation about Jamie and how you should be like totally happy that he's your father because he's great. He's the greatest guy ever. And they talked about this so much, I forgot Ian didn't know that he was alive.
This is when it all came crashing down on me because last week I was like, the wagon train, he didn't. It was this scene I was waiting for.
Yes, but like Ian, when he was yelling at William, he was never like, you should be happy that my dead Uncle Jamie is your dead dad. Right. Didn't like, so I forgot that he didn't know.
Right.
So I had to watch it twice, but
I did not.
You do watch it carefully. Ian sees him, and it's not even like he's like almost sad. Like
he's like,
you see it in his eyes and a little in his mouth.
Yeah, and then he goes. That to me is true books. Jamie and Ian. That feeling you got when Jamie showed up last week at the very end of the episode and ran in and was like, I gotta go, they're after me. Come on, Lord John. That like swashbuckling situation. That's how I feel about this scene with Ian being like,
he just like, he knew he couldn't be like, Uncle Jamie. But he knew and Jamie knew. And it was great. It was really, really great. And Rachel is also surprised. This is one thing Rachel did not figure out, that Jamie was alive. Rachel is also like, he's alive.
Right.
And yeah, I was like, didn't they already know he was alive from William? But no, I guess they didn't. So, okay. So Jamie finds William and he drags him away. And again, another like outstanding scene where basically Jamie's like, all right, here's how it's going to go down. You are going to make the wagon train guys release Ian. And if you don't, I'm going to go to like, whoever I need to go to and spill everything about you being my bastard boy.
Right.
And, when William is like, God damn you, sir.
Yeah.
And Jamie's like, yeah, don't I know it? Like,
I have it written down. William says, God damn you, sir. God damn you to hell. And Jamie goes, no doubt. It's so funny.
It was so good. It was so good. And like just William, I'm loving him more and more with every scene. And I don't like Book William. I think Book William is also insufferable. But this William is just like, maybe it's a character that you need to like experience in 3 dimensions rather than 2 dimensions to really.
I don't know, because I loved him in 2D too.
No, I've never.
I got all of this from the book. All of this, it's exactly like it was in the book. That's why I'm like,
it is, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. But the William is the star of this episode. Is the star, and which is saying something when you have a lot of stars in this episode.
Right.
Like every performance is great in this episode, but William was just like so good.
Right.
And you talk about Jamie like, getting a lot of information all at once about Claire and whatnot. Well, think about the information William is getting, right? In the span of like a day,
right.
It's
not
only has he found out that his father, the man who raised him, and I mean, he already knows Lord John isn't really his father, but like everything that he thought he knew about himself.
Right.
And not just like parentage, but like lineage.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the ninth Lord of Ellsmere anymore. Because actually, he never thought Lord John was his biological father. He thought the 8th Lord of Ellsmere was his biological father. Now he's no better than like, that farmhand over there. All of this stuff. And you see it in his face and you see it in like everything he does. And then everybody else knows about it. That's the other thing. Like, oh, he's so good.
That's why he's such not a rule follower, but the honor and everything comes into play because of who he is.
Well, it's his identity. I mean, his identity. Right. And like we've said,
snooty rich guy.
He's a snooty rich guy. Right. And now that's not true. It's all been a lie.
Right. And he's a Scot. And he's a Scot.
And he's a Scot. And he's like, he's nothing. Again, his snootiness, like he's looking upon himself the way he would look upon like some poor crofter,
Right.
Like what does he amount to now? Nothing.
Right.
And then he looks at Jamie Fraser, who basically is the root of all this problem.
Right.
And just, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. So yeah, that was a great scene. All right, so we're back to Lord John in the camp, and here comes the doctor. And it's Denzel.
Yay!
And this is another great scene. Denzel, like, talked about crafty. Like he's the smart cookie, that one.
Oh, I love
Denzel. He's looking at the eye. He's like, okay, yeah, this might be a fracture of your eyeball orbit, and you're gonna need a patch, and it's pretty bad. And whoever hit you, like, did so with a lot of force. And yeah, it was Jamie. Oh, shit. Oh, I forget if Denzel already knew or if he didn't know either. I bet Jamie was alive. I don't think he knew either.
So
the news about William being Jamie's kid, that got everywhere, right? Remember when Claire was writing that like newspaper for a hot minute? Maybe she put it in that. Like, the news has clearly hit everyone. Yeah. But nobody knows that Jamie is alive yet. That's
right, because Denzel is basically, isn't he like, your wife can, maybe your wife can look at it And Laura John goes, my wife, Jamie Fraser, isn't dead anymore. He's the one who hit me. And all I'm hearing is, he said, bring out your dad. He says he's not dead.
And then he should have been like, and, William found out that Jamie Fraser is his father. And Denzel would be like, oh, yeah, I already knew that.
Yeah, I already knew that.
He finally found out? Good, because that was a tough secret to hold all these years.
That is so funny. Did you feel like Lord John was like coming off? I mean, maybe it was whatever they were giving him, but he was coming off kind of drunk.
Yes. At this point, I completely agree. Like, I don't know if he was getting drugs or something. Is Lord
John drunk? He's reminding me of Tyrion Lannister. He drinks and he knows things.
I don't know what it was with Lord John, if he just didn't care, if he was in such pain, because I don't think they gave him anything. But he was coming off as like, on something. Hammered.
I do remember him being like that in the books, like very blasé, like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny
because he's just existing at this point.
But it's Lord John. So that's what makes it so funny. He, once again, somebody who with the honor and the rules and the I always do the right thing and say the right thing. And now he's like, well, what the hell ever. I could be dead in 5 minutes anyway. Like, all right. And he's in a lot
trying to stay
of
alive.
pain.
Yeah. Okay. So Lord John is like, Jamie isn't dead. He hit me, but I was asking for it. So
and this is when they sent the note to General Wayne about his eye.
Right. Tell General Wayne about Lord John's eye, not to just be like, oh yeah, his eye's messed up, but to be like, yeah, if you want to see him get hanged, you're gonna have to come here because we can't let him. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so back to William and Ian, and William gets Ian released, and off he and Rachel go. Okay, so William is back at the whorehouse, and he is like drowning his sorrows and whatever he's drowning his sorrows in. And there's a bunch of soldiers sitting around. Captain Harkness is the guy's name, the ringleader. And they're having some really gross, disgusting conversations.
Douche.
About buggering, what they call buggering, which comes up way too frequently in this episode.
Oh my God. Have you been buggered?
I mean,
did you bugger her? Did he bugger her? Dear God.
There is more talk about buggering in this episode than in any other hour of TV, in the past couple of years, I would say.
And we just watch it like on the download. Like, I wonder if when it's on, this is going to be obnoxious. I don't think I can do that joke. I was going to say, I wonder when it's on TV if they're going to have commercials about KY. I'm sorry, everyone. That was rude. That was rude, but it was, I can't.
Well, that was not something that Captain Harkness recommended, which would have been nice with all the recommendations he was making. It would have been nice to be like, get some Vaseline at least or whatever. But no, he was not doing that. He was really just talking about, his pleasure, not hers.
Right. No ribbed condoms there.
So it's pretty disgusting conversation, and William sort of sees the drill, and there is what we're told is her name is Arabella. She's sitting over there with the other ladies, waiting to be decided on who's going to take who.
Right.
And William knows the drill. He knows what's going to happen, so he goes up and he's like, "Yeah, I want her for the night." And Captain Harkness is like, "Oh no, she's mine." And so they fight a little bit, and Captain Harkness is like, here's my big pouch of coin. And William's like, here's this thing that I've worn in 3 episodes that nobody's really sure what it is.
Yeah. Here.
But do we know what that was? Is it made of gold? Is it?
Well, I was like,
is it a military thing?
Is he using that for payment, or is that some kind of collateral? You can't just give that away.
I didn't even think about the collateral, but that's true, actually. That is true. I
don't know.
If none of us can figure out, neither of us can figure out what it is it really that valuable? I don't know. I felt like it was part of his uniform. Like he's a,
yes,
marks him as a dragoon or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, it's good enough for Madam Whorehouse Lady because off they go. Off he and Arabella go, and Captain Disgusting O is left out in cold. So they go in, and William apologizes, and he says he'll pay for the spilt wine and the messed up dress and whatever. And he asked her, they talk and whatever. He's like, look, you're good. I did like the conversation of his father, Lord John, once said the biggest gift you can give, a working lady is the gift of sleep.
Yeah.
So he's like, here you go.
The second greatest gift you can give me after Remember Paoli is a good night's sleep. Because they're very, very rare. As you can see by my eyes.
William, that doesn't just apply to ladies of the night. It applies to ladies of the day.
It applies to menopausal ladies, too, who get 3 hours last night. Where I got to wear my damn stickers.
Or ladies who are like, oh, it's midnight and I haven't gone to bed yet. And I still have to look at all of my social medias and whatever. Okay, agree. And I have to be up at 6:30, but okay, agree. Whatever. So he finds out, he asks her real name, and it's Jane. So as we said, this is Jane. This will not be her last episode. We will see her again. Yeah, and this is where I wrote down some stuff about her. I really like her. In my mind, she's way more likable than the book Jane. The book Jane just kind of I don't know. She just wasn't likable to me at all.
I don't even remember. I remember the storyline, but I don't really remember her much. But she's just fantastic. Come get into bed, you idiot.
She's really good. She's really good. I did wonder, did they have the word idiot at that point? But
you're
I'm
like me.
that point.
What? Yeah,
I'm not going to belabor that point.
That was me and Bigot last week, and I was like, it meant religious hypocrisy. It didn't mean.
How do you even get through 5 minutes of Titanic with the speech being so not 1912?
Well, I don't understand your question.
Titanic, the lines of Titanic are the way we would speak today. They are not spoken in a 1912 way.
Right.
So I'm just like, how do you get through 5 minutes of Titanic?
Well, it's a different story. All the Philadelphia society will be there.
Normally it doesn't. I thought that in passing, idiot. It sort of sounds like a modern day term, but whatever. So he's like, all right, fine, but I'm not going to do anything. Except she totally makes the move, and she's too crafty for him, and there you go. So
yeah.
And I liked William. Why'd you make me break my word? And Jane says a whore has a sense of honor too.
Yeah.
So William is liking this girl. Okay. Back to Lord John and Denzel. Denzel is coming over with some stew for Lord John. He's like, great, because he hasn't eaten in a while. And Denzel's like, here's a spoon too. Exactly, it's a big knife. So Denzel's like, you got to get out of here right now. You need to escape. They're going to hang you tomorrow. You got to go. And Denzel was willing to have Lord John hide in his wagon, and Lord John was like, no, I'm not putting you at risk. It's good. I will be out, whatever.
Right.
I love Denzel. He's so great.
I love Denzel. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. He's so cute.
He's so great. Oh, he's so great.
Cute.
I wish the things happened from the book that involved Denzel, but
oh yeah. Hey, listen, if everything happened in the book, then Remember Paoli might not have been such a big deal.
I know, I shouldn't complain, but I love Denzel, and he deserves to be happy. Okay, so we're back at Lord John's house. Claire, breaking news: Claire has left the bedroom.
For once.
She's in the living room. I don't remember what she's doing, but Jamie is back, and he is not happy. She's like, "Oh, Jamie, I've been waiting for you." He's like,
"What?
So you went to bed with John Gray?" And Claire's like,
Oh, that.
Oh, that.
Oh, that.
So Jamie stormed up to the bedroom because, of course, that's where all the action has to happen at Lord John Gray's house. Like, you're allowed out for, it's like when you're a prisoner and you're allowed out of your cell for half an hour to go walk in the outdoor area. Right. So this scene was just really great. I mean, like, this is classic Jamie and Claire struggling in conflict that we don't see as often as we used to in the early days of the story, because there's a lot of other people now. They're older now. They're more in sync now, whatever. But Claire tells Jamie that, and again, it's a case of what we sort of said all along, that both parties have reason to be upset with the other party. Both parties haven't really thought about what it was like for the other party. Right?
Are you saying, Claire? Why does Claire
tells Jamie that she was contemplating killing herself?
Oh God!
And she needed someone. She needed to feel someone touch. Like, she needed someone to touch her in that moment.
That was
you didn't
so
buy
awesome.
that?
That was 100%. Yes. No. I think I'm saying why. Whatever you just said made me think of it. Like, what did Jamie do wrong?
Not understanding this about Claire. Like, he's like, why did you sleep with, you slept with Lord John, whore. Like,
again, he feels bad because he knows they thought he was dead. He's expecting to come back and seeing her crying on the floor. Not, oh, by the way, Lord John was pretty damn good.
I'm saying, no, I'm agreeing with you. That's what I said, that they both
I don't think
come at
Jamie's
it with,
done anything
I'm
wrong.
angry. You slept with Lord John. I thought you were dead. You were blah, blah, blah. And then slowly they start to sort of see and understand the other one. He starts to understand. I get that, he says something like, you are, touchy-feely or whatever when
he
you're
says
drunk.
She thinks with her body when she's
right. He thinks with your body. And, she takes that badly at first, but then he says, no, that's, me. He really, and you see, he really is figuring this out. He really is figuring out, he's putting himself in her place. And figuring out, that's an explanation for why she would do it with Lord John. That's why that happened.
Right.
He's starting to think not with his anger, but with his brain. As we said the other hour, whatever it was. He's not thinking with his what. He's starting to think with his brain and with his heart.
Okay, but I think what really did it was she pretty much mirrored what Lord John said. We weren't making love to each other. We were both making love to you, type of thing. And I think once he heard that, he kind of was like, ding, 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 ding. The light bulb went off and he understood. It was one thing to hear it from Lord John. I mean, let's be honest. Any talk of Jamie Fraser and homosexuality takes us back to season 1 and Blackjack Randall and the god-awful things he went through with Blackjack Randall. Mm-hmm. So when Lord John said, we were both effing you, he really was only hearing that from Lord John. He wasn't hearing Claire say that. So he was he was offended by Lord John saying that. But now that he's come back and Claire's saying the exact same thing, he's like, oh, I get it now. You both missed me so much. You know what I mean? So
does he get it about Lord John or only about Claire?
He gets it about both of them now. He's realizing that this whole time, which is why he left Lord John, let them take him and didn't try and rescue him. Lord John did, in his mind, the worst thing you could possibly do to Jamie Fraser, and that is bring up Jamie Fraser and any mention of homosexuality. So he could not handle that and went right back to Blackjack Randall and what he went through and was like, you're done. Let go. Bye. Take him. And I kept thinking when he was like, take him, like, he's gonna hide the bushes. This is me not even remembering. He's gonna hide the bushes. And Jamie has not seemed to care where Lord John is this whole time. And he has to know that they could kill him. And yet when he comes back and he and Claire have it out and she presents the exact same idea, the light bulb goes off and he realizes, oh, these are just the two people who love me most in the world. Oops.
It's a good point. I think I would dial back the whole like visions of blackjack a little bit because I'm still kind of like thinking like you slept with my wife. Like that punch, if you're going to take a percentage of that punch, what percentage of that punch is you slept with my wife and what percentage of that punch is you wanted to sleep with me?
Great question, and I don't know the answer to that.
I would say it's more you slept with my wife. A little, like maybe like a 65-35.
I don't think it matters. He's got both of those things. Not only did you sleep with my wife, but you were telling me that you, in your mind, were sleeping with me.
Wanted to F me.
Yes.
And that's, I can't deal with that ever.
Right. Right. Ever. That's the worst thing for me. I can't, there doesn't get any worse than that. He'd rather die than think about Blackjack Randall and all that. So, and be thought of in that way. So 100%. I mean, that's why it was such a big deal that he offered his body to Lord John.
Right.
I thought this whole thing was fantastic. Just fantastic.
Right. So Jamie, I mean, sort of going back through their conversation again with the buggering, that's what Jamie, and to your point, that's what Jamie's thinking about. Jamie's thinking about the act. Jamie's thinking about, did he do that to you because that's what he does? Or,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And Claire, like that says to Claire, I'm thinking about, where his, what went in your, what. That's all I'm thinking about. And Claire's like, he's not understanding. He's discounting this, and that's what it was.
Right.
And this, right. And that's what it was. It had nothing to do with anything here.
Right. And I don't blame him.
And that's where she's like, go F yourself, and like, whatever. Yeah, and I wrote down, I wish Claire had slapped him. But then again, Claire's like, you don't have any rights. You don't have any rights to say any of this because you were dead. Like, you were dead. And that's when he says, I wrote this down. I can't what you're like when you're drunk, Sassenach. Because she kept saying, like, I was drunk. I don't remember. And it's funny how that's where she slaps him, because when you sort of think about it, that's where he is starting to kind of work all this out in his own head,
right,
to try to understand,
right,
what was happening and what was going on.
And she tells him it was on the floor.
Because I would have slapped him over the buggery myself. And then Jamie, he starts to say, you think with your body. And that's really smart. It's really smart of Jamie to sort of like realize this. Even though this is super hard, that his wife, did it with another guy, when he's barely, cold in the grave. And he wasn't in the grave at all. But he's realizing this. And I feel like that's what sort of saves them. That's what sort of saves them. That he's like kind of got that. I did like the whole talk about Mary McNabb and how he compares, he talks about that and he's like, I didn't ever, tell you any of that, any of the details there. And she's like, whatever. I forget if she said that she would have heard, she wouldn't mind hearing them or whatever, but he tells her, what it was like. And that seems to sort of help him too,
Right.
talking through that, because
Right.
maybe in talking through that, he hears what she's been saying all the time, is that it came out of a need, not any sort of like lust or desire
Right.
or, horniness or whatever,
Right.
but like
Right.
out of a basic need for interaction, for
Right.
human comfort and interaction.
I'd like some human comfort and interaction.
There's probably an app for that, I would say.
Let me tell you something. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like, do you know what it's like to never be touched? I mean, it sucks. And that's really what we're talking about too. You know what I mean? So they had to, whatever.
Well, that's why William goes to take his little ornament off, and like he pays like the price for that. So I just wrote down Jamie and Claire work it all out in the end. Yeah, they work it all out. They're heading towards the dining room. And then they're sort of interspersing with Lord John is cutting himself out of the ropes. And Claire and Jamie are like on the dining room.
That was
and
so
then
crazy.
He's like getting himself away. And they're like doing it on the dining room table. And then Lord John's like running away. And you start to hear the dogs and the yelling and the screaming. And then they're doing it more on the dining room table. And then, blackout.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
Oof, I'm afraid.
That's the end.
I am afraid.
That episode was so good. It was so good.
So good.
Do you think it's the best of this season?
Oh, God, yes. But the last one was really good. But I mean, for us, it's also going to be a lot. It's going to be awesome because of Paoli.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, this episode, like, I wish I could frame this episode.
Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, like, maybe what I want to say is it's not like top 5 episodes of the series, but top 5, like, moments of our Outlander lives. I would say that the genesis of it is one of the top 5s. And meeting Diana a bunch of times is one of the top 5s. And going to Scotland is one of the top 5s. But now having this on the TV show.
Awesome. And that's all she wrote.
Just incredible. We have a couple minutes left.
We have to take a picture.
What was your favorite scene?
There were too many. And if Paoli wasn't in it, then I would probably, I don't know what I would say.
I'm still laughing over Rachel. Like, is he, oh my God. I know she has 2 names. Is he Smalls something?
I don't know.
But props to her. That was just perfect. Oh, that.
I loved all the William and I loved all the Lord John.
Who do you think is the VIP for this episode? William and Lord John tied?
Paoli. Paoli is the VIP of this episode.
Paoli is the VIP place. I gotta give it. Boy, I gotta give it to William and Lord John. I'm gonna give it to William with Lord John in a very, 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 very close second, because William was so good. Like, just his eyes. Like his eyes. Oh my God, it was so good. All right, please like our YouTube channel.
Follow. Like
all of our other stuff. I'd like to get our Instagram up to 1,000, guys. That's a challenge for you. That's the challenge. That's the mock challenge. Go on Instagram and like our Instagram and get us to 1,000.
You're like mob challenge, and I'm just like, please. Just please follow us on everything. Follow us.
I challenge you to go and like our Instagram.
And as always, keep telling us what you think, because love it. I just, while we're talking, had something come in from YouTube. Love all the conversation. It's so
I know. Comments, again, this week were fantastic. They're so great. They answer a lot of questions. They bring up more questions. Let us know what you'd like to see us do. Let us know what you think. And I guess that's it. And we're halfway through, Carol. We're halfway through part 2. Part 2.
Crazy.
Four more to go. All right, you guys. Have a great week. Don't stress yourself out too much through the holidays. Get everything done and then take a breath.
Yes.
And we will see you